Welcome to Labor's View. This show is brought to you by the very hardworking and dedicated employees of the Essex County Division of Welfare, and they are non-supervisory employees. I'm David Weiner, president of the union and host of this show, again, Labor's View. Our guest tonight has returned after almost 2 years.
Yeah, but that's your fault.
It's not my fault. I can't have you up on the date. It's December 2010, and it's up. You're on the website. Yeah. All the shows are on the website. Yeah. So if you want to see him when he was 2 years younger, go when he looked a lot better. No, so did I. Check it out. So, Rahaman Muhammad, how you doing?
I'm trying to make it. I'm blessed.
Tell the people what you do. Who are you?
Okay, I'm Rahaman Muhammad, president of SEIU Local 617 here in Newark, New Jersey. Represent city workers, housing authority employees, board of education employees, workers that work in the housing authority, in the Irvington Housing Authority. Also in the city of Irvington, crossing guards in the city of Newark. I mean, we have a variety of employees.
How many units, actually? How many contracts?
13, man. Oh. Preschool council we represent.
It must be in negotiations every week.
Right now, man, we was doing 7 contracts. I just finished like 4. Oh. I got 3 more, and then I got the big one, which is the board of education coming up. So
I got 2, and I do them at the same time every 3 years.
Yeah, I got every time you turn around.
How long have you been president now?
It's almost 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. 13 will be 10 years. Yeah.
32. So just wait a few more years, you'll get to where I am. if you last, if you want to last that long.
I've been in the labor movement 20 years, 21 years, something.
Yeah, but you were a baby when you started.
I was a baby.
Rick, in prepping for this, which I know you so well, but there's so many topics I want to get to. One I think that is near and dear to your heart. Not really, but it is in terms of battling, is the MUA.
Yeah.
What is the MUA?
Well, the MUA is the Municipal Utilities Authority that the mayor, Mayor Booker, wants to create. I got to be honest with you, I first supported the MUA. I thought that the Municipal Utilities Authority was a good idea, because I couldn't be hypocritical because I actually supported, at the time, Sharp James' water optimization plan. And the reason why I supported both plans, to be honest with you, was because, unfortunately, politics don't allow for us to shut water off in the city. And with the funds, the city struggling for funds, and the water system in badly needs a repair, we aren't able to collect the bills. And one of the reasons why we can't collect the bills is because of the fact that we don't shut water off in this city, and we don't shut water off because of politics. And so, to me, the reason why I support it was
when you say we don't shut it off, we don't shut it off. We because people don't pay the bill, and the politics is that whoever's not paying the bill may be somebody that
exactly. I mean, when you think about it, PSE&G shuts you off. Yeah. They're a private company. They don't care how old you are, how young you are. They shut you off. Right. But in the city of Newark, if somebody isn't able to pay the bill, certain individuals get a pass for not being able to pay the bill. Right now, New Community Corporation owes the city of Newark about $5 million in water bills. And
plus your leakage. You got
it's an old system. So, we don't shut people off. Politics don't allow for us to shut the water off. And so, one of my reasons for supporting was because I wanted to take the politics out of it so that the system would be able to collect the revenues that it needed to survive. The problem with Booker had is that he wanted to put a MUA together to just plug a budget deficit. And to put it in the control of the hands of a couple of friends of his who pretty much wanted to do with the system what they wanted to do with it. And so I didn't support it after I found out what the real game was, because I just believe that if we're gonna put a system and convert a system over into a private system, then at least it should still be controlled by the residents of the city. And I don't believe his plan gave us complete autonomy. Although he said it was autonomy, I just don't believe it was complete autonomy. I think there was some deals that he came back and made with the state of New Jersey to take some of the autonomy away from the city of Newark, and the state pretty much would have been running the system.
Like it does the school system.
Yeah, right, exactly. When the state says to you, we'll do the MUA if you allow for us to hire the employees, for us to choose who's going to sit on the board, that's no longer under city control. So you can go out in the press and say, oh, you want that the city controls the water system, but if the state is telling you, I don't approve of this person working here, or I don't approve of this person sitting on the board, then pretty much it's not in the hands of the city.
Last month we had on Jim Walsh, who's head of Food and Water Watch, and he's really big on fracking, the whole thing with the gas and all. But he was talking about, and I've been following how important it is, and how with the pushes across the world to own water, for private companies to own water. And when you lose control of public water ownership, you got a problem.
Right.
I mean, you can live a while without eating, which both of us obviously haven't tried lately, but you look great.
Don't listen to Dave.
I'm just trying to do it for myself. But water, that's what you're holding in your hand. That's important. I saw this fascinating thing I hadn't seen before of that pain in the rear kid. Did an expose, an undercover film thing. What,
You talking about O'Keefe, James
O'Keefe,
So he came into
Project Veritas.
Project Veritas. So he came into the union office claiming to be a worker. I think he sent somebody. I don't think it was O'Keefe. If it would have been O'Keefe, I would have seen who that was.
No, there was a guy who had like a
right. So he came into in workers' clothes, stating that he wanted to organize a job. I sent him away twice because I didn't understand what his job was about. He said that he dug holes and put dirt in the ground, and so I was trying to find out. He said that it was environmental green jobs that the Obama administration gave for stimulus money, and so he sent me to a website. The website said that they were working with the community for environmental whatever. So when the final day he came back, I started asking him, are these your jobs? Is this what you do? So he started agreeing. But then he started harping back on the notion that all he do is dig a hole in the ground and put dirt in the ground. And so I kind of caught on to what he was before he left. And if you look at the video, you'll see that at one point I was a little comfortable with him. And then at another point, you see me sit up in my chair and get serious. And at that point I got serious, I knew that this was being set up because I didn't understand why he kept coming back to harping on the fact that he just dig holes and put dirt on the ground, especially if me and you already clarified that it was a green job, right? And so he went and edited the tape to try to
same thing he did to who was the first
Acorn.
He did the Acorn with the whole put in an alleged hooker and her pimp and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's an
idiot. He's a coward.
He is a coward.
But the problem that I had with him is, I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't have said anything different if he had a camera in front of him. What I said wasn't a secret. I mean, Democrats do support green jobs. We do support Democrats or Republicans for that matter, if they support working people. So to me, he didn't. I didn't understand his tape. I didn't understand what he wasn't trying to do. I mean, I see how he edited the tape to try to fit his narrative, but I say even in the edited tape, to me, what I said wasn't something that I wouldn't have said if he had a camera in front of him.
It's not just you. I looked at the rest of it, and they were going after. They got 2 nursing home guys that are suing. RICO sued, not you guys, but another local. So this is an anti-union. And they happen to jump on SEIU because you guys are big and influential and visible.
Listen, I got to be honest. I told people, I'm not upset that he did it. I actually think it was an honor that he thought I was big enough for him to come in and secretly tape. So I don't think any publicity is bad publicity as far as I'm concerned.
Seemed fine to me. The sound was bad. But
listen, I'm an open book, so I'm not afraid to speak. And if the coward actually came into my office and said, hey, I'm from the Veritas Project, and I want to talk to you, and I'm anti-union, and I want to sit down. I actually would have sat down and had a conversation with him. So I don't understand how these cowards come into your office and pretend to be a worker. And I had to actually meet with my staff because I didn't want my staff to feel like we are to question every time a worker comes here looking to organize the work site. I mean, that's wrong. I mean, it's not our business to question a worker's honesty or rather he working a job or not. This guy really believes he made up a job that you dig dirt up and put dirt back in the ground. There are actually people who actually do jobs like that. And so this fool actually believes that he made up a fictitious job where you dig up dirt and put the dirt back in the ground. So
I didn't know you had the honor of having dealt with this putz. So I was very impressed. I just found out I was very impressed. I wish you'd do it to me sometime. I really do. I feel left out. You backed John Arnold.
Yes.
Against the longtime sheriff, Von Tour. Not just you. Never CWA did. nonetheless, we knew
he wasn't going to win this time.
This time.
He's coming back, though.
Well, we took out Mr.
You talking about Warren? I mean, I'm not Warren.
Alessio?
No, Orange, the Orange Man.
Hawkins, right.
And now we're going after Wilda.
Yeah, right.
Over in
Perth Amboy.
Perth Amboy.
Right,
So the point being, these are people, not necessarily the sheriff, but the other two, Hawkins and Wilda Diaz, who actually got up there 2 years ago when when Sweeney and Joe D and his people, they were putting together this plan to increase the pensions for all public employees. And did a horrible bill, which we're paying for now on the health benefits. So we're showing that if you go out there and you're visible, we're going to.
Right. I mean, the other thing to me was more one. I think D'Alessio been. Listen, I don't think he's anti-union. If that,
not D'Alessio.
I mean, I'm sorry, Ventura. I don't believe that. I actually like him as a person. I really do. The problem I just think is it's time to move on, right? And we had got wind on the fact that he was supposed to move on, by the way, and the intention was for him to drop out, they appoint a certain individual whose name I'm not going to call at this point, and they choose who the next sheriff of the town was going to be. And I just believe that at some point we have to stop allowing for them to dictate who our leaders in this town is going to be. And so, this county party to me has gotten too powerful in what they've done in this county. And it's pretty much they're controlling the outcome, not just of election, but through policies and through legislation that affect us as workers. And they come to us for our money and our support and our workers, but when it comes to policies, we don't have a voice in what's said, and they don't want us to have a voice on who's elected. And it's time, I just think it's a time for labor to just stand out and say, listen, you're not going to choose who represents us anymore. And it's just unfortunate that it was just time for Tor's father, I'm concerned, just to move on. I think he really wants to move on, by the way. And so
he's getting up there. He looks good, but he's getting up there.
He don't really. He was intending on retiring. I'm telling you, I got word of it. He was intending on retiring. And the problem here is they want to choose who the next sheriff's going to be. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to allow for them to choose who that person's going to be.
They choose everything else. So.
And that's the arrogance. They believe that they have a right to do that, and we don't have a voice in it. And so it's unfortunate that a nice guy like Ventura just get caught up into us saying to the party that we want changes in the way you go about this, that we want to say so on who it is that represent us. And
at least
really that was
some real input.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to say we're the ones, because then that's a whole nother world. We start choosing, we become like they are, right?
But we don't even have input, Dave.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
I mean, it's just like whatever they say.
We did in Orange. We spent them some money. We put some people in the
street.
But
they wanted Hawkins back.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's my point. So it's like, these are people who they know are anti-labor, who they know they control their voices, but yet they still want us to support.
But why would they care if he were anti-labor and was so visible as was Diaz in being in the photo ops and pushing for those changes that are killing our members, the health benefits and stuff? When it was Sweeney and Norcross and Joe D and Adebato who put together the consortium that wanted we lost by one vote. Yeah. Right? I think we lost one vote, and they threw that guy Stack in. Yeah. So I mean, they wanted that kind of legislation because they get stuff. Listen, it's not that they're against us.
Listen, when you see a party who throws an individual like Joe crying under the bus because he stood up for working people and he risked himself out there for working people. And let me say, I'm also some labor unions who also didn't stand behind crying. When you see a Democratic Party who throw a guy like that who stand up for us.
Tell people who Cryan was. Cause
Joe Cryan is an assembly person who stood up, was one of the few people who stood up and put his leadership post in jeopardy, which he lost his leadership. He didn't have to do that, right, Dave. And that's you got to give a guy like that a lot of credit. Here's a guy who was majority and could have been majority leader for as long as he wanted to be, but he put his leadership in jeopardy for union workers because he believed in labor. And not only did we not back him when it came down, but our own party, who we give money to, threw him up under the bus.
And ironically, his father was sheriff many years ago.
Right. So I mean, there's something wrong when that happens, Dave.
There is something wrong.
I mean, where's the Democratic Party in the state going? where we allow for a guy who stands up for working people to be just thrown under the bus and we don't come to his defense. I mean, I don't agree with everything Joe Cryan do. I don't want people to be under the impression of that. I mean, we disagree on some things. But on this, we agreed with. When it came down to standing for working people, this guy stood there, gave up leadership position to stand and we didn't do anything in our party, threw him under the bus. And guys like Christie laugh at that.
Okay.
See, to me, it's a statement.
Of course.
It's a statement. The Joe Cryan leaving the leadership post was a statement to Christie that the Democrats in this state really don't back labor.
Look what they did.
That was a statement.
What they do to Cody.
Right, yeah. Cody's another one. I don't know if it's an Irish thing.
These things, they're still, although Christie's half Irish.
Well.
So, but it's funny because, a lot of people don't know this because he didn't make it known. He really kept it on the down low. But when they knocked off Cody,
right.
When Sweeney made Sweeney the Senate president, they put Cody in the back row
right.
of the State House,
right.
Where they sit,
right.
and they took away his parking space.
Yeah.
He had to go park, and I'm told some trooper said, out of respect, I said, "Don't worry about it. You can keep it." He says, "No.
Right.
This is where they want me to go."
Right.
And that's now he's been shooting back lately too, so he didn't take it lying down.
But see, the Cody thing is a little different with me, Dave. And here's why I believe that. I don't know if that struggle was more about him maintaining power or about labor. Cryan's struggle to me was about labor. Cody thing to me, losing the Senate president, is just one political boss or one power broker really replacing another one. I mean, I like Cody. Don't get me wrong, but
Sweeney, I'm just doing a comparison.
Yeah, but, I mean, ultimately, Sweeney's a labor person.
Is he?
Well, he says he is.
I think he is.
Come from labor.
He's for the private sector. He's
Right,
for the building trades.
Right,
But I don't see him for public sector.
Well, I agree. Me and you do agree that he has a problem with public sector, but ultimately he comes from labor, right? But to me, that's just we got North and South who come together and they decide this is what we want as our Senate president, right? I look at Cody's a little bit different than I look at what they did to Cryan. Cryan to me was a slap in the face to labor that said, you know what? This guy stood up for labor, so what? We're going to throw him up on the bus. He didn't fall right lock and step with us. He stood for them workers, and we're going to kick him up in behind and make him lose his leadership. Cody's thing was more so a long-going war.
Long simmering.
Right, long simmering war, who now all of a sudden South and North decided to get together, and the people in North wanted to go after their longtime enemy, Dick Cody, which is unfortunate because he is a labor person. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it's good voting record.
And they just decided, listen, we want our leader instead of him. That's a different, struggle.
The thing that bothers me is then that out of that came the pension and the health benefit legislation
no question.
pushed by Sweeney
Right.
because, in my opinion, the building trades, a lot of them I like and respect, are our brothers, but still a lot of these building trades resent, especially when they got 50% unemployment. They turn around, they look at the public employees and they go, drag them down.
But I think it's hypocrisy, though, Dave, because these are the same people who look for public entities to hire building trade workers and for the public sector to pay their pensions. So as much as they like to squabble and argue about public sector, in the housing authority, you know how much money the housing authority in Newark used to give to the building trade? How many people they used to hire and build? At one point in time, we had almost 600-700 workers from the building trades workers working in the housing authorities. The housing paid those pensions. They paid their health insurance. So to me, it's a little bit of hypocrisy when I hear this debate about, we pay our fair share. Well, actually, when a building trade go work for a public sector thing, let's be clear, that public sector pay their whole pension and benefit thing. It's separate and apart from their salary. That's not being told.
Another race I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Payne Jr.
and Ron Rice.
Rice.
Two good friends of mine.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think
you went with Ron.
I went with Ron because it was a promise that we all made to Ron before Donald had passed away, that we would support Ron Rice to be the next congressman. And it's just unfortunate that our politics has to be about name recognition and it's almost like
genealogy.
It's like we inherit seats and things. And this isn't to knock Donald, because it ain't just done with the Paynes. It's done all across this country, unfortunately.
What's his name? His wife, the Republican, can't remember his name. No, it was Jersey. We picketed his house, I think, at one time, or picketed around it. DeCroce, was it, or whatever his name was? He dies, and now they're running his wife.
Oh, you talking about Adler?
No. That too.
Yeah, because his wife's running.
Right. And they both do it. The Dems do it, the Republicans do it.
They do it right.
It's like, all of a sudden, you turn around, if something happened to me, my wife would be president of the local. It's not going to happen.
But that's unfortunately that's the mentality.
Like, what is?
We got to get away from that politics.
Like, because I married you, all of a sudden you.
Or because you my son, that means you're going to be a good congressman.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's not, listen. Let's be clear. Any congressman who's elected out of the 10th district gonna have to do what any congressman in the 10th district would be, because it's a very liberal district.
He's gonna do the same.
He's gonna do the same thing, right? So it's not. But what we need more, because we actually have an opportunity to have a Dennis Kucinich type congressman in the 10th congressional district, one that is out in the public, who actually pushing policies that benefit work and not afraid to say that.
Don Payne Jr. is not exactly.
Well, that's my point.
That's
my point. That's not going to happen.
He's a good guy, but he's not.
That's not going to happen.
He's not very verbal.
But Ron would have been.
Ron would have been.
And that's my point. And that's the reason why I wanted Ron, because to me, Ron gave me something different in Congress. Ron would have went to Congress, and I would have seen Ron on Bill O'Reilly, debating Bill O'Reilly every week based on policies and stuff. That's not going to happen with Choppy. It's not going to happen with Donald Payne. And it's not a knock against him. It's just not his personality. That's not what he does.
Well, his dad wasn't exactly vivacious.
His dad didn't do it either. That's my point.
That's the one who's got it is the uncle. That's the one who's got the verbal acuity. Bill, what do you think about the CEC thing? You followed that with the private prison with Clancy and Palatucci and the.
You talking about the money from Christian?
No, the whole thing with the Delaney Hall. And the ICE prisoners, maybe you're not following that as much as I am.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, Dave. You know what? I just think this is a good old boys connection that people getting big multi-million-dollar contracts that we're not even a part of.
And then people are escaping, thousands of people escaping. Yeah. One man goes down there from parking tickets and gets killed over $20 in a cigarette.
Yeah. I got a friend of mine, street doctor, goes down there on a regular. To help those folks. So
you got honored at some event with him.
They had a community event. That,
they put together a new session.
Teresa
was in
Black
there too.
Leaders. Something.
Didn't they honor Teresa Ruiz at the same event? Yeah.
So they honored 20 people, so I don't feel special.
Yeah, well, don't feel right. You're special. Just put it on the wall and.
I think the only award I got in my office is the one Louis Quintana gave me.
Yeah, really?
You know why? Because I like it. He gave me an Eagle Award. I actually said, cool. I'm going to put this on my desk. It looks good.
Louis was a character. He is a character. Your website said something about privatization of libraries. Why would you be worried about privatization of libraries?
We worry about everything privatization. Because eventually, if they privatize library, they're going to privatize sanitation. If they privatize sanitation, they're going to...
They already did. The South Ward is...
but that's been privatized for 40 years.
Right,
I'm actually working to unprivatize, so let's be clear that that's about to be unprivatized very soon.
Good. And this pension and health benefits, I told you before we came on the air, when are we taping this? Today's the 16th of October, 2012. The county fielder board has the contract. Now, we're not in the state health benefit plan.
Yeah.
You have groups that are and groups that aren't that you represent. Right. But the contract's up for tomorrow, and I haven't had the chance to look for it. I just got the disc that the fielders get with all the agenda. The only difference is I read it. And so I go through the whole thing, actually read it.
And they don't like that.
And they don't like that. And because I know they're going to go with them for next year. And I hear the price to come this year, they increased the cost 12%.
Are you Aetna?
Yeah, for the county in 2012.
Wow.
Now, next year it's supposed to be lower. I'm hearing like maybe 4 or 5%, which is nice, except that what the people have to understand that are watching this, and as you understand, our members kind of understand, is that legislation I talked about that they pushed through almost 2 years ago. Till 2014, we're going up and up and up, and we're paying the percentage of the actual cost to the employer.
Right.
So if that cost goes up because whoever's covering them, which is Aetna in this case, we're paying another 4 or 5%. The funny thing is, I did an OPA request. I'm Mr. OPA, and Open Public Records Act, and I did it because I saw this ad in the Ledger, and it was statewide because I live down the shore for political reasons, and one half was for some dinosaur thing they were having at the zoo, of course, and the other thing was a wellness program for seniors at the zoo, of course.
Right.
And who sponsors the wellness thing?
Right.
Aetna. So I did an Oprah request, and I said, I want all documents indicating how much money they're giving.
Right.
It's $10,000.
Right.
Now, interesting, I'm not saying anything, but at that exact moment in time, the county administration and Connor Strong Buccaloo, which is their broker, which is Norcross's company, they're supposedly evaluating the request for proposal responses, and they get a $10,000 donation, and then so Aetna's in, apparently, because the contract's up for tomorrow. So, some might look at that and say,
it's pay to play.
It's pay to play. You're not giving it to the campaign, but you're giving it to that in a way that it benefits Joe D and the politicians.
Well, the same thing Booker tried to do here with waste management.
What do you do with that?
Well, that's
a big garbage.
Well, right. So what they did was came in and sponsor a couple of community cleanups. Right. With garbage trucks. When we got our own garbage trucks to do that, they came and sponsored a bunch of community cleanups and stuff, and dumped the garbage and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, now they up for contracts. So it's peculiar. And the problem is they actually tried to give him the Southwark contract. He can't get the 5 votes for it, so they snuck in a small contract for $500,000 to pick up some tires.
Maybe a little bit helps.
And it's crazy. So that's exactly what they do, right? So they pick a company, and then all of a sudden that company is now all of a sudden the guy who.
But meanwhile, I went to the WIB today.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. But they still don't have. They only need one union person. So I want you to start showing up. But they're still short. They've never had the full complement of private sector people on the WIB, the Workforce Investment Board. This is supposed to oversee the welfare to work contracts. We're supposed to vote on them.
Right.
Well, they were just awarded a month ago. We never saw them. That's another story. Working on that.
Right.
But
I'm surprised they do that with you on the board.
Well, I talked. We got to the end of the meeting, and Howard Weiss or Samuel Park said, "Okay, I guess that's the end of me." I said, "Oh no, wait, I got a little something to say," and I'm going. When I said this to Joyce Goldman, who I've known for years, she works for Joe D. We used to play cards in her house 30 years ago, and I said to her, Joyce, Joe D's got all this clout with these guys. I mean, Aetna's giving them $10,000 for this, and Horizon would give them this when they were the ones, and this. I don't know if you ever heard of these guys. What's that construction company, Jerry, that I'm always talking about? It's a husband-wife team, and they seem to get every construction bid for the zoo. They get the bid. They're building the dock that they just are going to put up there because they got to deal with Orange, with the reservoir and stuff. So I said, make this guy sit on the WIB. So if you don't, we're not in compliance. And literacy money, that's all they talked about today. Literacy money drying up. The GED training, they're taking it from one group, giving it to a private group, and they're going to charge between $50 to $200 to take the test.
Are you serious?
No. So my whole point was that, and I've been saying this for years. I've been saying it on here that as much as I take heat to this. I love Joe D on a personal level. I do, and most of the time he loves me, except when I get to be a pain in the behind. But we have so much more to talk about. You're going to have to come back because believe it or not, it's done.
It's over.
Yeah.
I told you, man,
a few more things. Some of which it's better that I don't ask you, and some you don't care about. Rolling Stones coming to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, who cares?
I don't care. And I was into them, but now they look like
I'm not going.
So Rockland, I'm not going either because I can't afford it anyway. So thank you very much for doing the show once again. I
appreciate it.
We'll do it before 2 years goes by.
All right, okay.
And thank you for watching Labor's View. I'm David Weiner. Good night.